Hi, thanks for tuning in to High on Horror. I'm Drew.
And I'm John. This episode and every future episode is dedicated to all the horror hounds and smokers out there who want to expand their knowledge of the genre and have a good time.
Today we're getting fried. Well, that's not a surprise, but we're getting extra fried. Today we're talking about Friedberry, and we have the director Ryan Kruger with us today on this episode to discuss the film further. Friedberry is a South African dark comedy. It's also trippy, cosmic, and an exploitation and grindhouse throwback. We can't wait to talk about it. All that and more today on High on Horror. Interviews, reviews, and the latest news all rolled into one. Alright, you know the drill. It's time for Strain Wreck, the segment of our show where we discuss what strain we're getting wrecked on and current events in horror. John, what are we smoking today, man?
We smoking some Animal Face.
Animal Face? Is that really what it's called?
That's what it's called. Well, it's also known as Animal Face number 10 as well. But it's 21% THC, so it's a little on the higher end. So
damn. Oh, hell yeah. And we're getting fried today, too, so that works out.
And it's a rare sativa-dominant hybrid. So it's made by Cross and Face Off OG. I wonder if that has anything to do with Cage and Travolta. And Animal Mints. So it's super rare. It's like, what was it, Pineapple Express? It smells like God's vagina.
Speaking of smelling, hold on, let me smell it. Oh, my God, it smells... Oh man, it smells awesome. It smells beautiful.
It's got that delicious. It's got that piney, like gassy terpenes.
Yeah.
It has a potent high from the Face Off OG, and then it has that like cookie flavored smoothness of the Animal Mints. And Animal Face is known to.
Animal Face.
It's the best. I mean, I bought this purely based on the name. I feel like that's how a lot of my weed shopping is. It gives you a full mind and body numbing high that lets you drift off into, it says physical and mental bliss.
And mental.
Yeah, first, it took first place in the 2022 Emerald Cup Awards. I don't know what that means, but it's got to be good.
Damn.
The effects, you got uplifted, relaxed, and tingly.
Damn, so we got our hands on some.
Tingler, Vincent Price.
Don't ask us how we got this. I don't even know if we know.
Well, we don't know what happened like 5 minutes ago. The flavors are mint, menthol, and pine.
I was gonna say it smelled very like minty. I had like a mint sort of. I could smell the mint. It smelled fruity, and I smelled a little bit of mint. So I'm not surprised you threw mint in there.
And then the only negatives here is they're anxious, which I feel like that's any weed if you smoke
anxious
enough.
Anyway. Yeah.
Dizzy and headaches. I don't know. Like, I see sometimes they say headaches. The only time I get headaches is when I just smoke way too much and then, like, don't drink any water or anything.
Yeah, totally. Well, all right, well,
but that's just really me dehydrating myself.
Right, that's your fault, you know.
Yeah, it's my fault.
Yeah, while you get that sparked up, I was going to say that there's not really too much going on this week. A couple of small things, really. But Pearl comes out this, Pearl came out a few days ago, so we definitely plan on seeing that for sure, right? What about you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we definitely got to see that. It's Ty West, Delaware.
That's right, yeah. So we're definitely going to be checking that out. So if you all listeners out there have seen it or are going to see it, you know, we'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Also, there's this new movie called Two Witches, John, that I made you watch the trailer for that I think looks insane. It's clearly inspired by the likes of Argento and Fulci. What did you think of the trailer, yay or nay?
I'm interested. I don't necessarily know what it's about. I mean, I got some guesses based on the trailer. It's like, I feel like those old, I always talk about the Saw trailers, where, like, you would see a Saw trailer, and you're like, I don't know what the fuck any of this was, but I'm in. Like, every year they would get me, I'm like, and it would just, like, play sounds from other ones. Like, I mean, there was more to it with this one. It was more than a teaser trailer. But yeah. It was enough to make me go, I don't fully understand what's going on, so I don't feel like it's giving anything away. Mm-hmm. But it showed you enough. But it was enough to hook me in that I go, yeah, I'll watch that.
The visuals, right? The visuals.
Yeah, and like, I mean, we did Slapface, and I think that's, I had mentioned before, like, I'm not usually into like witch movies.
Yeah. Right.
That and The Witch.
Well, here's a synopsis for the Euro horror film Two Witches. Expectant young mother Sarah is convinced she has been given the evil eye from a mysterious blank-eyed old hag while she is dining with her bullish and insensitive partner Simon. When the couple go to visit his new agey friends Dustin and Melissa, dark forces are unleashed after an ill-advised attempt at consulting a Ouija board to allay her fears. Is that allay? What would that word be? Allay, right?
Yeah, allay.
Anyway, meanwhile, tensions grow between the grad school student Rachel and her new roommate Masha after a violent incident involving a man that the strange and impulsive young woman has brought home.
I wanted to bring up, you brought up like the pale eye thing. Do you feel like, I feel like we see that all the time, and I felt like after Exorcism of Emily Rose, we got a whole bunch of black eyes. And I guess kind of like the Ring around those times. And now then, like, everybody's like, well, now just switch it to pale eye. Now everybody does that.
Yeah, that's the Fulci in that. When you see the white eyes, I definitely see like the Beyond in that. Like, but like I get what you're saying. Like, it seems like everybody wants to do white eyes now, but sometimes it looks good, sometimes it doesn't. But it is definitely getting overused. I'll give you that for sure. Arrow Video's debuting the film on Arrow Player, their digital streaming service, in October, right around the holiday season. I think it's October 1st to be precise. For those of you who are listening and like movies, witch movies like me, check out the trailer, Two Witches.
Yeah, hopefully it does good for them on their streaming service. I mean, I don't really know too much that Arrow's really put out that's been out there mainstream, but yeah, I've been seeing stuff about Two Witches, so hopefully it does good for them and helps out their streaming service.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I hope so too. I like that they're putting new movies out as well. Kind of like they're not just putting out like their physical media catalog. They're like, here's a movie we're debuting on our streaming service. That's pretty cool.
And I think now it's time to get in the Screaming Room, the segment of our show where we review things that you haven't seen yet. So this week we have episode 3 of the 101 Scariest Horror Movie Moments.
Man, this episode named some bangers for sure. They list a couple favorite of mine: Cujo, Friday the 13th, Dawn of the Dead. I don't disagree with any of the movies mentioned on this list this episode. How do you feel?
Yeah, there's one on there that surprised me, and I looked at Nicole. I don't know if maybe the same thought ran through your head. I went, that movie's not horror.
What is that?
Aliens.
What is it?
Aliens.
Oh, Aliens, yeah.
I get it's horror.
Yeah.
I think of that as an action movie.
It's action sci-fi. Yeah, for sure. The first Alien, I would say, is horror sci-fi. Aliens is action sci-fi.
And they really... never mind, because we don't want to ruin anything, but... And I also had a problem with when they were talking about it, but oh, sorry, Josh, I hit a chord, my bad. Yeah, for the most part, though, like, I remember, like, when I was writing down the list as it was going, I was like, damn, like, these are some good movies. Like,
some bangers, like I said, yeah.
My question, I gotta feel like it is. They haven't said it, but I feel like when they talk about the movies, they talk about the movies enough as a whole that I think it's like one moment per film.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm just like, damn, like, we're this far out, and we've already got stuff like, some of the ones you've already said.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, how are they so far out? What's ahead of it?
Yeah, exactly. I am going to go ahead and predict. It's not a spoiler, so I'm not giving nothing away, but I 100% am going to predict that Hereditary is going to make the list. I thought about that. I think Hereditary is going to make the list.
I think it's got to, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will. If they're concluding new movies as well, yeah. How about, let's take a second. Let's predict. That's going to be, what do you think a movie, like, for sure? Don't name something obvious like The Exorcist. Like, what do you think is a movie that you think will make the list?
Damn, I was not prepared for that question. Sounds like you got one off. Well, I guess you already.
I just said mine. I just said that.
Oh, man. It's one of those things that just, you have so many things you can think of that nothing, like, pops through. Hereditary was a good one.
Trying to see. I myself am right now trying to brainstorm. Is there another one that comes to mind right away, like Hereditary? That I don't know. Maybe I nailed that one.
Yeah, I feel like that's a good one. But I feel like it's new enough that it'll be on there.
Yeah.
The question is, here, I can't think of any right now off the top of my head. Of course, once we're done recording, I'll be like, oh, this one.
Of course.
I was thinking of this one. How many different Halloween movies are going to make the cut? Do you think it's just going to be the original?
Oh my god! That's going to be. I hope so, but that's going to be funny as shit. As fast as like the countdown gets closer, there's just like 6 Halloweens listed and like 5 Jasons.
I thought about that, and I'm like, wait, there's no way. Like, I feel like the original for sure. Maybe 2018. Maybe they throw kills on there.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, they might. I don't know, man. Yeah, shit. There's a lot to think about. Midsummer, they might. I don't know. I was thinking
of one on the list.
Made the
list. Prowler. You think maybe that'll make the list?
It could. It should. It could and it should.
It was funny because I was about to name one, and then I went, shit, that happened this week. So.
All right. Well, before we ramble on anymore, let's get into horror history.
This week in horror history.
All right, all tight. This week we got Cellar Dweller.
Man, I love this movie. It's got a great opening scene with Jeffrey Combs and has an awesome monster in it. It's about a comic book artist whose art comes to life. It's cheesy, but it's really awesome. There's actually a Tales from the Crypt episode called Corman's Calamity that practically has the same exact plot, but is also good as well.
And the title rhymes. What else you want?
Yeah, right.
Bubba Hotep from 2002.
You brought me in here to look at stick pictures on the shithouse walls, man.
My favorite is when he says that he's Kennedy, and he doesn't believe him. He's like, they dyed me this color.
Yeah, man. Bruce played a great Elvis, and this is still a better movie than that new Elvis movie, that new piece of shit that came out starring Austin Butler.
See, I haven't seen that, but the trailer looked good, and I don't like Elvis.
It was terrible.
Because my parents, growing up, did not agree on music, and we did road trips, and one of the few artists they agreed on was Elvis, so... As a kid, I got Elvis out like a long time ago. Well, I think that's why I ended up liking the Beatles more. I
like Elvis, and I just felt that I get that doing another like autobiographical movie kind of seemed redundant, but the way that they did this, like it was okay. There's rap songs. I have nothing against rap, but there's rap songs like it playing in the movie. Like they just hip hopped and modernized it. It was. I did not like it at all, and that was just one of many things that I disliked about it. The time jumps. There was so much wrong with it. But
all right, let's calm you down. I'll move on to another.
No,
movie.
hold on.
Oh,
what did I say? I actually read the Bubba Hotep novella by Joe R. Lansdale, and it's pretty exact to the film. It's exquisitely simple yet effective, like the film. And it's directed by Phantasm director Don Coscarelli and Bruce Campbell. So if you haven't seen the movie, that's all you should need to know to order a copy or watch it online or whatever. John, didn't I watch it with you for the first time? Didn't I introduce you to this movie?
Yeah, I think it was a couple houses ago.
It was a while. It was a long time ago, right? Do you think Bruce does a good job as Elvis?
Yes.
Well, I mean, he does, right? But the question is, did JFK, played by Bob Ivy, like you were just saying, did he steal the show?
Yes.
I agree.
The two of them are amazing together.
Yes. Anyway, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for holding you up. My bad.
It's all right. I forgive you. In 1997, Wishmaster.
I said this last year, but I just couldn't get into this movie, let alone the shitty sequels. I wanted to like this movie so bad when it came out because it seemed like everybody my age who watched horror was like into it.
Nicole liked it.
Everybody still loves it. I don't. It's just not for me.
Now the question is, am I misremembering and it's not the original she likes and probably like number 3 or 4 or some terrible sequel number? Anyway,
No, look, I like Pinhead a lot more than Wishmaster, but that would be a fucking dare. If somebody put $1 million in a briefcase, it was like sit through all the Wishmasters and Hellraiser movies.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. And not fall asleep or kill yourself. Jesus.
And you have to sit in a room with Rob Zombie while he tells you why his Halloween movie is superior to John Carpenter's.
To make the situation worse, no, you can't have any weed.
Oh, man. Yeah, you gotta... I'm gonna need $2 million for that.
Yeah, right. Oh, my God.
Oh, that and some counseling.
And some pizzas. You have to order me some food.
And birthday, we got Stephen King and Nick Castle, both the same day, September 21st.
And that's really fucking cool, man. I don't know if we mentioned this last year. I think we mentioned Stephen King's birthday. I don't know
We
if
mentioned Stephen King pretty regularly, so I would imagine we probably covered his birthday.
I don't know if we mentioned.
And we'll
that,
probably say this again next year when we cover his birthday.
That's what I was gonna say. I don't know if we mentioned that they have that Nick Castle and Stephen King shared a birthday last year. I don't know if we did, but if we did, I certainly. I don't know. I don't know if we did, but that was a lot of weed ago, and that's really cool though that they both share.
That's pounds of weeds. Pounds of weeds.
Yeah, that's probably accurate, but yeah, no, that's really cool that they share a birthday though. Like that'd be cool to know if like they ever like split a beer or something, or had to split a beer. I meant not gonna split a beer. I'll drink half, you drink half.
I didn't even catch that. Even I was like, what was? Oh wait, split a beer.
No, but I'm sure
they're gonna split a blunt, maybe.
Well, I mean,
maybe.
Yeah. But anyway, you can go on.
If I had to guess, I'd say Nick Castle probably smokes the weed. He seemed like
He'd chill.
He was a hippie.
Chill. He's like he was a hippie.
And then September 24th from 2010, we have Shaun of the Dead.
He's got an arm off. What's your favorite scene from Shaun of the Dead, man? Mine's the when the Queen song "Don't Stop Me Now" comes on at the Winchester when they're beating John up with the pool cues at the beat of the song.
My favorite is early in the movie after he goes to the store, comes back, and they have one in the backyard, and him and Nick Frost are just chucking everything at him and just missing. That's probably my favorite scene of the entire movie.
Because that's probably
and
the most
like
accurate
the first
to you.
15 minutes.
I see that being you. That's why if there were zombies, you're trying to throw shit and just
they
miss
just
them
got
by
boxes
miles.
of stuff they're just chucking at him and just missing.
You know, I just thought of something, dude. We would totally have some like scary movie shit going on. I want to go back real quick to the Nick Castle thing. You said, that he probably smokes, and I agreed. Like. I can only imagine hanging out with Nick Castle, like getting baked, getting bombed, and I'd just be like, "Yo, dude, put the shape mask on and do the walk."
just start breathing, dog.
Just doing some scary movie shit, just getting high as hell with Michael Myers. That'd be cool as hell.
Yo, Nick, do you think you could fit the blunt through your mouth? It's just like half a blade, like it's like the Dr. Pepper photo. But it's like a blunt.
It's like, nah, if not, put that new ends mask on. There's holes in the cheek.
Yo, this the blunt. This the blunt that burned the hair off your mask.
They say, yeah, the mask didn't burn. The mask ain't half burnt from the fire. At the end of Halloween 2018. It was
safety first, kids.
Jesus. All right.
Actually, if you're a kid, you should not be listening to this.
Yeah, no, 21 plus.
All right, I think that disclaimer's out of the way. So, geez, what the hell we got next? Puff Puff Ass, right?
Yeah.
You write us in questions, highonhorror420@gmail.com, online at highonhorror.com. You can get us on the socials, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, at highonhorror420. I think I'll leave TikTok out. We don't ever get shit through there.
Yeah.
That's a weird platform to try to set questions anyway. So, I just rambled on for no reason, so let's move on.
Yo, man. Puff, puff, pass.
All right, our first Puff Puff Ask question comes from Cannabis Queen. Cannabis Queen.
Cannabis Queen? Is that what you said at first?
Yeah. Cannabis Queen from Instagram asks, do you guys have a movie that you can't get too high or else it'll start to bug you out? To answer that, I do get more paranoid when I'm watching supernatural horror films. I've said that before on the podcast. I can watch slashers with ease, but if I'm watching ghost shit or demon shit and I hear a noise and an air vent or a floor creaking in my house, I might just be tempted to turn a light on, like Sinister, The Exorcist, shit like that. But I keep smoking. It doesn't stop me from wanting to smoke, but I might turn a light on.
That's funny because my answer was going to be Sinister. Sinister's one that creeps me out.
You always bring that shit up.
Dude, that movie creeps the fuck out of me. I'll try, and like when I think about it, like nothing else just pops in my head the way Sinister does.
Oh, really? So Sinister is like the one movie that you feel like you could be too high to, you might have to like be bug out for if you smoke too much.
Hold on, I'm gonna rhyme here. Bagul in the pool when he turns around, that shit that shit every time, just like the first time, just creeps the fuck out of me.
So do you feel that you would turn a light on or want to stop smoking?
I'll probably just turn the light on.
All right, that's what
I mean, I'm never going to stop, but there's times where I'm like, I don't need to be as high as I was to see that movie.
I totally understand.
But, so then we got another one from Instagram. from Horror Man.
Horror Man.
He said, "What do you think's the most overrated film this year?" For me, it was Nope. A lot of people say Nope. I think Drew's gonna figure out my answer. You want to guess?
You're gonna say Prey?
Yeah. If you haven't listened to our Brian Using a Part 2 episode, we broke down Prey. Drew loves it.
I don't say I loved it. I liked it.
Okay,
I liked it. I didn't love it.
Compared to me, you loved it.
Yeah, compared to you, I loved it.
It's between that, Allegoria, and Scream for like the worst movies. But I was...
Oh, God, Allegoria, God.
But Scream and Prey, maybe it's close. Maybe it's because I hated Prey more. But I got tricked into being excited for the movie just to be let down.
For Prey?
For Prey and
for Scream.
Scream,
okay,
but
I feel you. For Allegoria,
somehow,
you
as
didn't really
much as
have
I hate Scream, would say I like that more.
Okay, well, I guess in regards to overrated movie, is that including besides Pinocchio? No, for me it would be Netflix's Incantation. Everyone said that shit was scary and it was ass, and Uma was worse. So I don't know. It's between them two. It's like one had hype behind it and it sucked, and the other one said it had like the same thing. They both had a lot of hype behind them and they both sucked. So that's it. Uma and Incantation, probably my two guesses. Guesses or picks? Picks. I'm fucking high, dude.
All right, so continuing the theme of being too high, Friedberry time. We're gonna get into our review of that.
So this is one of those episodes where we literally got everything from Friedberry's conception to where it's at now at festivals and shit. So there's no backstory that I can give here. I would love to do one of my like long, lengthy, like in-depth backstories.
Girthy.
But there's nothing that I could say that you're not going to hear in this interview coming up with director Ryan Kruger here in just a few minutes.
All right, I guess that's my cue, huh?
Yeah.
So, Friedberry is a 2020 South African black comedy science fiction horror film. It checks a lot of boxes.
It does.
It's written and directed by Ryan Kruger. Gary Green plays Barry, and in the lead role of Barry, he's a drug addict who gets abducted by aliens who take over his body and then send him back to Earth. We follow Alien Barry as he strolls through the streets. He does a lot of fucking walking in this film.
Yes, he does.
He's like a junkie Forrest Gump. And the way I described it to you after I saw it, I said, it seems like a fucked up version of Starman from John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Just like, instead of the nice guy, it looks like Jeff Bridges. We just get a fucking heroin addict. And he ends up being a better person and father and husband after the aliens have entered his body. And I want to talk about how the aliens enter his body. I won't ruin it, but it will get ruined in the interview. But, and like we talked about Willy's Wonderland 2 weeks ago, this movie has a mostly silent protagonist as well.
Yeah, it does.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely absurd, but it works. And I mean, the movie's literally just an alien inhabiting his body. And like I said, a fucked up version of Starman. He's just learning like stuff from like other humans.
Yeah, and it's like you said about him being a good person. It's like he's like innocent almost in this world, experiencing everything for the first time. And like you said, he's silent. So like all you get amongst all this shit that he's seeing happening is just facial expressions.
Yeah, dude. And that's like the thing. Like there's a lot of close-ups in this movie, and like Gary Green is just really expressive.
Yeah, he is. He moves his jaw in ways I don't think I ever could. It's weird, but like I said, everything about this movie is just ridiculous, over the top, absurd, whatever you want to call it. But it all works. Yeah, 100%.
It's entertaining.
It's a mixed bag of tricks that like work somehow. It's like it's I agree.
It's a slow burn black comedy, if you will. Like,
yeah,
but it's intriguing. Like just the character development of the alien. Really, I mean, you forget that it's not really Barry in there.
Yeah, Yeah, you're almost like you almost. I agree with you 100%. And
you know what? You could add possession movie to the subgenres for it.
technically, yeah, alien invasion movie. I mean, I guess I said sci-fi,
Yeah.
so technically, but yeah, like I agree, man. This movie is batshit crazy, and Ryan did a really good job of making the camera take you, the viewer, on the journey with Barry. That's part of it. Is like the camera is kind of like this ignored character that's there the whole time and getting these angles. You know, these angles that Ryan used and these close-ups that you just mentioned. You know, it makes the camera so it like takes you on this insane ride with Barry. It's hilarious. It's ridiculous.
And the city looks amazing as well as you're just following him, just walking from one event to another.
Yep, it's dark and it's gritty. It's well acted.
It almost got that Michael Myers walk at times. They'll just like keep turning.
And the thing is about it is that it's gross in certain parts, but it's gross in a fun way that makes you want to keep watching. Not gross in a way that makes you like uncomfortable and want to turn your head. It's a gross in that comedic way that you're being dared to see how much you can watch or take, and you want to be dared. You want to go there. That's this type of movie. Like you want it to take you on the journey it's going to take you on.
Yeah, a lot of times when I watch it, I'm just like, where the fuck is this going? Like, I don't understand what we're doing. I'm just confused, but I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. I love this movie, man. I do think that it's best enjoyed with a group of friends, just so you can see other people's reactions to it.
Oh, for sure.
You know, for sure.
And with a lot of weed.
Yeah. I would give it an 8.5 out of 10.
For what it's worth, yes, that's like I've said, we have sliding scales on our ratings, and like I would rate this as just like a fun movie.
Yeah.
And in that category, yeah, I'll match you with an 8.5 on that in the fun category.
Well, it's fun, but that's just it. It's kind of like Gwar the band. How like Gwar was like the joke about Gwar was that it was like they were actually good. They actually made like good music. They weren't just ridiculous. So it's like even though like it is just a fun movie, it's also like a really well made movie. The angles, like I said, like the camera work and the music and the cinematography. You know, yeah, it's a goofy movie, but like it's also like a really well made movie. So yeah, 8.5 is a solid. I think that's a great rating for it. Well deserved, and. Yeah, I think it's time to get into Burn and Learn. So light that shit up, John. This is the segment of our show where we fill you listeners in on some behind-the-scenes facts and trivia about the movie we're discussing. So today, that's going to be Friedberry.
Are you sure?
Oh.
Burn and learn.
All right, I'll get us started off here. The film was written in 3 days, and most of the film's dialogue was improvised on set.
The intro was inspired by the Simon Bates age restriction on VHS tapes during the 80s.
During the making of the film, Ryan wanted to cast actor friend Joey Kramer from Flight of the Navigator to be in the film, but it didn't work out due to scheduling. But in one of the scenes where Barry is flipping through the channels, if you look closely, you'll see Joey Kramer being interviewed on the TV.
You know the "Don't Worry, Be Happy" music video by Bobby McFerrin, where Bobby floats off of the window ledge. Yes, no.
Yeah.
Well, that's what inspired the scene where Barry floats out of his socks and shoes.
Actors Sean Cameron Michael and Graham Clark actually play the same characters in Ryan Kruger's The Time Travelers, which is a short film.
I have not seen that, but now I'm interested. I would definitely check that out.
I mean, I'm in. You know I love short films.
All right, well, let's go even deeper into Friedberry and talk with the director himself, Ryan Kruger. Today's guest is an actor, writer, director, producer, and more. He wrote and directed the film that we're here to talk about today, Friedberry. Welcome, Ryan Kruger. Thank you for being on High on Horror.
Cool. Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate you taking the time. You're a busy man right now. Before we start the interview and talk about your movie, we wanted to ask you, because you're on High on Horror, are you a smoker? Do you indulge in cannabis? And if so, how often?
Not that much. You know what? I've actually just quit cigarettes recently, and I'm like a fucking chain smoker, so I smoke a lot.
Congrats.
But I've just stopped. So it's been like 2 weeks, and just the other day I bought one of these like electric cigarette things just to have a little drag here and there. But when it comes to weed, I'll smoke every now and then. I'll have like a little joint every now and then. But yeah, I don't smoke a hell of a lot. It's just here and there. And then when I do, then it's nice. So I don't abuse it, if that makes sense.
Do you feel it helps you with the creative process at all?
Probably not, no. It depends what I'm smoking. So yeah, I'd rather, I don't know, I think it's, yeah, no, it's, you know, when it comes to, like smoking weed, you know, there's different types of weed. So there's this shit that just knocks you out, and I hate that. And so I would sit there and I'd be like, oh, thinking about my life, thinking I haven't said anything for a long time. Maybe I should say something. And then I say it, and then I'm like, why did I say that? And then, yeah. So I think it'll be my worst nightmare, being on set as an actor or a director and then smoking a fucking blunt just before I get on set, and I'll be like, oh my God, it's like the worst fucking thing ever. I'll like forget my lines, forget everything that I'm meant to do, maybe direct it a completely different way. So yeah. So here and there, I'll have a joint here and there.
Okay. Well, what made you get started in the film business? How old were you when you knew this is what you wanted to do for a living? Yeah, I'm one of those kids. I kind of knew, what I always wanted to be. So I grew up just watching films with my dad the whole time and my brother. So it's always been like a thing that I've always wanted to. I got into acting first, and then I went into directing. So it's always been like a thing. And then back then it was always renting videos from the video shop. So you'd spend like fucking hours in there trying to pick out the shit that you want to watch, and then totally.
Yeah, so I think that was and half the videos you'd pick it will be based on the artwork of the cover. You wouldn't even fucking read of what's on the back. You'd be like, yeah, that looks fucking awesome. I want to watch that, and then that was it.
Yep, totally.
So yeah, so from the start, with watching movies with my dad and getting videos out was always a thing. But I think by the time it came to like the late 90s, I already watched most of 50s, 60s, 70s and 80s and early 90s movies. But I mean, the way it goes now, there's too much fucking content out there, and it's impossible to
for sure
keep up with it. And there's probably more shit now than there's ever been. So yeah.
Yeah, totally. And I wanted to say, you act, you direct, you write, and like of the three, which do you think you prefer the most? Which is your favorite to do?
I think probably acting and directing, writing, and producing all goes hand in hand. I love acting and I love directing. The thing is with acting, it's out of my control. I go to audition, I either get it or I don't. And then at least with directing, I can push, for projects, and I've got more control of it. So yeah, I'll always do both, because people always say, if you had to choose one, I'm like, well, if I can just do fucking both. So, I'll just, carry on doing my directing, and then, then here and there, if I get the role, I get the role. But yeah, I just started really young, getting into filmmaking. I mean, yeah, have you guys seen that movie, Super 8?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So my childhood was very much like that. Like my dad bought me this shitty camera from Cash Converters back in the day called what was it? JVC Video Movie, and I was like, just because it said video movie, I was like, oh, it's a film camera. Really, it's just like it's still a fucking shit camera. So I would take that, and I would and I would literally make films over the weekend with my friends or summer holidays. And, I'd busy write, all these things, or we'd turn up and we would just do like improv or come up with a story, and, I'd spend the weekend or the summer holidays making shit. But it was cool. I mean, I must have made about 300 of them over the years, but they were all like shit. And we all had like an American accent for some reason. And we all were all like, it was always like action and fighting and shit like that. But it was cool. And, even just doing that, I learned I learned a lot from it, just like with angles and out of all these films, as I said, they were all shit, but in each one there was always like something cool, and then there was another one that was just like that one thing cool, and then it ended up being where I'm like, well, why don't I take all the cool things and then just put it into like one, and then it was, then you start growing from there and understanding a lot more shit. And because even when I got the camera, I was more bothered about directing, even though at the time I was doing more acting work, but with the camera I was doing directing more, but getting all my friends to act, and then I ended up acting in it as well, which I was awful, but it was just I was concentrating on on the directing side. And then I think shortly after that, eventually I started making music videos, and then but back then it was also I started making music videos. I think it was 2004 or 5, I think. And then it was only around 2008 where I started making music videos where I actually had like a good crew. Because before that it was like me on, one-man show, basically shooting, getting pushed around on like a business chair, zooming in and zooming out, trying to get all these angles and shit like that. And then, I think around 2008, with all the music videos I was shooting then, I had a nice crew. And but even before that, actually, even before 2008, I did this like behind the scenes documentary style thing where I filmed with like over like 50 major like US and some UK bands backstage. It was like tour bus, like on the tour bus or backstage or in the hotel rooms of like bands. And we shot with like, like Sid from Slipknot and Juliette Lewis and Licks and like Henry Rollins and Black Flag and Killswitch Engage and all these other metal bands and stuff back then. And then after shooting the music videos, then it was, I slowly, with the music videos, I did like narrative storytelling within the music videos, or some of them were very visual. And then, then I ended up doing like commercials and then obviously it's always been a thing, to shoot a feature film. So I've always been aiming for that for the longest time, and then ended up deciding to do Fry Barry by myself, which we'll probably get into that. And then, before that, it was, during that whole time, I was also doing acting for TV and film and stuff like that. So, and then apart from Fry Barry, in the past 7 years, I've been working on a 8-part experimentals. So for the past, I think it's the past 7 years, I've been working on 8 experimental films. And every time each one's done, I've sent it to film festivals, but I haven't released any of them. So they've already been on, at the film festival circuit, and that's it. So I've got one more left. And then, basically I want to release all 8 of them together as an exhibition. It's some of my favorite pieces of work, and it's crazy because it's been 7 years and I haven't even released it, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow, that sounds. I mean, I don't know. That sounds like it'd be really hard to hold on to that, and I want to show that stuff to people, man. Like, that's really cool, and that's crazy. I don't know if I've ever heard of somebody filming like 8 movies and not showing them and waiting for an exhibition. So definitely
it's been crazy because in a way it feels like it's got out there in a way because of the festivals, but at the same time, none of them's online. So it's, I was thinking about it the other day, going, fuck, I actually can't believe that it's been 7 years. I haven't fucking released. The only one I actually released was Fry Barry, the short. So I actually had a short of Fry Barry that I made. And that there was no plan to even do a feature. It was just a standalone experimental. So I released that because of the feature, just to push that out there before I released the feature. But yeah, it's some of my like favorite work, and it's just like cool, arty, gritty, cool like little ideas that I want to do. And because with the music videos, when I started doing music videos, I was very lucky that I got to do whatever I wanted. So I would come up with a concept, or do whatever I want, and the bands trusted me, which was awesome. But at the same time, I was kind of still in a box because of the style of the music that I was doing the videos for. So I couldn't go too crazy. I couldn't go too this way or too that way.
So the nice thing about the experimentals was I could do anything I wanted, and there was no rules. There was no like record label saying, "Oh, you got to do more of this or do more of that" or anything like that. So it was pretty cool just to do these 7-8 experimental films and just basically just did what I wanted to do.
Yeah, it's totally awesome. Is there anything that you want to accomplish in your career in film before you hang up your gloves? Like anything that you haven't done but want to do? Any goals?
Fuck, dude. I don't know. I just want to make movies. I've got a shitload of ideas that I would love to do, but there's certain things that I know I can pull off on a low budget, and then there's other stuff that I would love to do, but I need budget. I need a studio behind me. So there's lots of those where, because this is the thing, when you come up with a script or you come up with an idea and you have a pitch deck treatment and stuff like that, you can have like 10, 20 ideas and you can send it out to all these people. And, obviously you're going to have favorites more than others. And yeah, I want to make them all, but you'll have, your little favorites here and there. And then you'll have, more commercial ideas and less commercial ideas. And, it depends what they pick and what they want to do, to put the money into it. So there's other things where I'm like, fuck, I'm going to have to wait for this one before I get, more. And that's the funny thing with Fried Barry. I independently made that film. There was nobody backing us. It was me and my producer, my co-producer, putting money into the film ourselves. Because I know if I went to any company in South Africa and said, yeah, I want to make a movie about a heroin addict that gets abducted by aliens and just is off his fucking head the whole day, they'll be like, yeah, we're not really going to go for that one. So, and we have like all the different types of drugs and shit like that. So at the same time, it's, I think it was the right decision making that film because, nobody would have gave me money to do it, but it ended up being a success. So at the same time, it was the right one to do,
One of the things, what attracted you to the horror genre?
I've just always loved it. I've always, liked, whether it was John Carpenter or like David Cronenberg or, just all those old school 80s movies. And it was such a big part of your childhood, sitting there, maybe getting like Nightmare on Elm Street and shit like that, sitting there with your friends and watching it. It was always like the fucking best, it was always great. And going back to like going to the video shop and checking all those, VHS covers of all these like horror films. And you'd be like, oh, that looks awesome. And just getting it. And the cool thing, I grew up in England, and obviously in England, you can get hold of a lot of stuff for like films and foreign films, and living in South Africa, I'm pretty sure like the upbringing here to a lot of filmmakers. I mean, there's a lot of shit you can't get hold of over here. It's not like in the UK and I'm sure in the States and stuff like that, where you can get hold of a lot of films and collectibles and shit like that. I think it must be really hard out here for old school stuff,
Yeah, totally. And okay, so getting into Fried Barry, the film is nominated for 6 awards at the South African Film and Television Awards coming up in like a couple of days, I believe. How does that feel, man? We're rooting for you. That movie's still out there doing, going to get nominated for awards at other festivals and stuff. That's cool, man. It's like since the movie's released, it's still circulating, still getting critical praise, still getting nominations. How does that feel?
Yeah, no, it's amazing that it's still going, but I think this is like the end. It's slowly coming to the end especially for like awards and shit like that. And it's because we did the whole festival, tour and stuff like that, which did great, and we picked up all those awards. And I personally, I kind of knew, without sounding stuck up, I kind of knew that the film would do well in a sense of what the type of film that it was making, because I knew that market, and I knew that I was that kid that fucking loved those movies. So that's what I made. And I never knew how well it would do in South Africa.
And, I said to my producer, it's very important that this film, does well in South Africa. And, and he asked me why. And I was like, well, the thing is, we don't make movies like this here. So Fried Barry is definitely the first of its kind for South African cinema for making a movie like this. And South Africa is pretty conservative, like really fucking conservative. So it's only in the past few years they're starting to make different films, which is great, but still, it's still fucking hectic compared to what everything else that gets made. So for it to pick up the nominations, especially for the SAFTAs, is crazy because of what it is, and it's just so different. So to win like best film at Rapid Lion last year or the year before when it came out. That was cool that we won that. And a few weeks ago, there was the KZN in Durban in South Africa. We won best film. So to get these nominations now for the SAFTAs it's just crazy for the content of what it is, and that there's all these type of drugs and there's just dick and pussy and this and that and everything in there, that it's like it's quite surprising. But it's great because it's really going to open the door to other filmmakers that come after me to be able to make, these cool types of films. And I think, back in film school, in South Africa, that, they would say, you can't just make this type of film. You can't just make that type of film. You have to make a film that sells, and you can't do this, you can't do that, and you can't be too arty. Because at the end of the day, the movie business is a business, which is true. But at the same time, when they were saying that, they were like thinking about just South Africa and nowhere else. So at the same time, Emily, there's a whole fucking world out there. So if you know the target markets and you do it a certain way, and you get the right ingredients for the movie, with all the right crew and all the right people, then you can make something really cool, and you can sell it overseas and around the world, and not just South Africa. So, but in South Africa right now, it's on Showmax, which is like the South African version of like Netflix. So that's screening now on there. And yeah, it's just had an amazing run, and it's cool that it's slowly came back to South Africa, and now it's ending off now in South Africa with these awards. So yeah, we got 6 nominations, and yeah, it will be interesting to see, who wins and who gets what. But at the same time, like I said, just getting the nominations is great. So I don't know if we'll win or not or anything like that, but we've been nominated, so there's definitely a chance. There's definitely a chance there,
Yeah, that's awesome. And you have a lot of short films on your resume. What draws you to that format?
Well, the thing is with, I think as a filmmaker, so a lot of my short films on my resume, apart from my experimentals that I've done now, there's a small handful of short films, and then there's the short films that are actually music videos, but it's a short film within, a music video. And that's what I got known for with being a director for music videos in South Africa. It was a narrative, storyteller within a music video. And what drew me towards doing the music videos and doing the short films was because, you can make a short film, you can send it to festivals, or you can, post it up on YouTube. And, if it goes on TV in your own country, it's probably goes on at 4 a.m. when nobody's actually fucking watching. So then, I thought the cool thing is with music videos, because with short films, there's no money in it. But with music videos, I'd get paid to do the music videos, and it will go on MTV and it will go on all these music channels. So I was making short films, but getting paid for it in a clever way, but doing it within music videos. And it just grew from there because I've always wanted to go into features. So the music videos let me get paid for doing the short films within the video, and which was also kind of training to get to features,
Well, yeah, you actually mentioned it earlier, but Friedberry is based off of a short that you did. So, of all the shorts that you did, why was that the one that you were like, I'm going to focus in on this one and make this one be the movie I make?
I don't know. It was actually crazy because when I did Friedberry the short, there was not even afterwards, there was no plan to make that into a feature. It just did really well. And then, later on, I obviously kind of planted that seed. It's like, if I did make this into a feature, how the fuck could I make it into a feature? And then how could I pull it off with this guy as a lead? Because he's not an actor. He's normally an extra. So I just liked Gary Green's look. And so it had to be, when I came up with the idea for the feature, it had to be the right story, the right way to film it. And yeah, everything just had to tick all the boxes to be able to do it. But it was funny, like before I made the film, it was very much, I had all these other scripts I could have chose. But, and I think for a director, it's a big thing, what feature film do you do first? What are you going to put all this time and energy into? Like which one? And I could have done, the 10 scripts that I had on my table at the time. And, but I just came up with the idea and I thought, fuck, this is it. This is right. So I didn't even look at the other scripts again. And I thought I knew exactly how I was going to do it. And yeah, I just, 3 days, I wrote a 50% scene brief breakdown, rang my producer and I said to him, dude, I want to make this film and I want to make it next month. Month later, we started shooting the film. So it actually came around pretty quick. But the reason why it came around pretty quick as well was, I had money at the time and my producer had some money at the time. So we both produced it together. And also at the time, I went through depression and shit. And I was just over shit. I was over waiting for people to go, yeah, we might make a film. Yeah, we'll get back to you. And I just thought, fuck that. I'm not waiting anymore. I want to do this film and I'm just going to do it. And when I did ring my producer and I said to him, I want to make it next month, he did ask me, well, why do you want to make it next month? And I was like, well, if we don't do it next month, it's never going to happen. It's going to be that story. We're like, yeah. We'll start in 6 months' time and then something will go wrong and then it gets postponed. And I was like, fuck that. We're going to make it next month. We're just going to have to shoot it in blocks. So we actually did 28 days of shooting, but over a year and a half. So okay. That's how we had to do it because of budget. So we're pumping our own money into it at the time.
Well, I have to say that Gary Green is perfect for the part. How did you get involved in the movie?
So I've known Gary now for about I think about 11 years or some shit like that, and I met him on. I was acting in this student movie or some shit, and Gary was there, and I just thought this guy looks fucking weird. That looks fucking crazy, and he looks like one of the because I always like characters, and I just thought he looks fucking great. He's got such character, and so yeah, Gary's normally an extra, so he's been an extra in fucking everything that gets shot here. And he's almost that annoying extra in a way. Everybody's got a story about him where, you'll be two people speaking what you're concentrating on, and then you'll be in the background and he's just fucking over the top. And the people are like, who the fuck is that in the background? Can you just tell him to fucking calm down? And, but that's the thing with Gary, obviously he wants to act and, and he's just trying to be seen, he's that underdog. He's just trying to be seen. He just wants to be noticed. And so after I met him, I started putting him in music videos here and there, and little featured part. And then it got a little bit bigger, and then it got a little bit bigger. And then I made the short Friedberry, and I just said he'd be perfect for it. So you don't have to prep for it or anything. I'll just talk to you through every step. And then when it came to the feature film, I said I decided to make a feature film on Friedberry, and I think he was quite shocked. And because that's the thing, he's not a trained actor. You know what I mean? So when you haven't got a trained actor, and they've had no training and they've got no show reel and they haven't really done a proper speaking part or a proper acting part,
I had to work with him very, very closely. And it's funny because with the character he was playing, the first part of the movie, when there's this heroin junkie, I had to make him completely different than when he's the alien. So that was probably the biggest thing to pull off, because I had to make him be kind of like normal. And he's not even normal in real life, so I had to fucking try and make him get what I wanted out of that at the first part. And because he would keep emphasizing on certain words, and I'm like, just say this and just say that, but just talk to him like I'm talking to you now. Don't emphasize on anything. Just everything's just like casual conversation. And so we did that, and he did really well. And then when it came to the rest of the film, it was funny because his character mimics like a lot of people, and it's like this kid. He's like the sponge. So he mimics all these people. And then when it came to directing, it was funny because he was mimicking me. Because I'll be on the side of the camera going, okay, copy me, Gary. Okay, now do this face. Now do that face. Okay, now try this. And I would show him what to do as we went. And he was like mimicking me off camera. But when I thought of this idea for Fried Barry and how I was going to do it, it was one of those where I can't have this character speaking. I have to, it has to be right for me to use Gary for it to work. And don't get me wrong, Gary did an amazing job. He put 120% in. Nobody could have played this part better than him. He was amazing for the part. He was fucking great. And we worked very closely, and he trusted me completely. And he did a great job. But it was, as I said, when I had the idea, it was one of those things where I said to myself, you know what, because he's not going to speak throughout the movie, and it's going to be more based on his experience, because I always say it's like the movie's like a road movie without the car, but Barry's the car, and you're just going on this fucking journey with him. So when he does have dialogue and he does mimic somebody, if it comes out a bit weird, it's fine. He's a fucking alien, so it doesn't really fucking matter. It makes sense. And and it just took off from there. And it was just, as I said, right character, right story, the right way to make the film and everything. And it just worked,
Yeah. And when you were thinking of the role of Barry, what were you looking for in an actor for that role?
It was more than anything. It was just like, you see, I dig characters, and Gary's a fucking character, and he's got that presence. And the thing is with Gary is nobody looks like Gary. I mean, you know what I mean? Nobody looks like him. He's got this very unique look. And I keep telling him that, and he doesn't realize it, but it's that, that's what makes, when I was thinking about this character and how I wanted to do it and how he would dress and all this, it was almost like creating that like superhero character. What's his suit? What does he wear? It's one of those things where it's something rememberable, where, if you got like Jason Voorhees, who's got his like fucking boiler suit or whatever, and it was like, cool, he's going to have his fucking denim jeans and his denim jacket and his hair's coming down. And that's it. That's how he looks. And I really approached it, like that. And, but it wouldn't. This film wouldn't work with anybody else. He's got that. You could get another actor. You can get another actor and try do all this prosthetic so he looks a certain way. But this is the thing with Gary. He looks the way he looks, and that's what's awesome about him. And and it's like whether it's his teeth or his face or his hair or his eyes and his. The way he's built and everything is like, he's just perfect for it. And nobody could come, close to that doing the same vibe that I wanted,
Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. Gary is absolutely hilarious. And I wanted to ask you, were there a lot of laughs filming the movie? Like, I imagine like in between scenes, there was probably a lot of outtakes.
Yeah, there was, I think anybody that watches this film, like you said, then is that we had like a fucking good time making this movie. Like we were laughing our heads off like a lot of the time. yeah, there was just constant stuff, you know, that we were laughing at. And like I said, with you know, before we started filming, you know, I said to Gary, I sat him down in my living room and I was like, okay, we're going to make this film. We're going to make this feature, but there's a few things that I got to go through with you because it needs to be in the film. So before I could get to say what it was, he was like, I will not be naked. And I'm like, well, this is the thing, Gary. And I was like, you know, there's a few scenes that you know, that you're going to be naked, but we'll do it in a certain way and we'll close off the set and you don't see your bits. It's just going to be from the side and all that. And he was like, okay, all right, it's cool. We'll have to, I'll just have to do it. I'm like, all right, cool, great. And, you know, when we did the abduction scene where he's on like all fours, you know, on the table, and you've got the thing that goes in his mouth and up his ass. You know, while we're shooting that, I was just looking at the monitor and I was just laughing. And my DP was like, "Dude, what are you laughing at?" And I'm like, "Look at what we're making Gary do." You know, it's like he's such a champ for doing this. You know what I mean? For trusting me and everything. And it's like, yeah, he would have done fucking anything that I asked him to. So which was really cool. You know?
Yeah, so that was something I was going to ask. Was he was game to everything?
Yeah, I mean, there was some things he didn't want to do, and then, and then he would, he just wanted to do well. You know, I think he knew that this was his shot. You know.
And did Gary ever say he was tired of walking? Because he does a lot of walking in this film.
No, he didn't actually. He was. Yeah, he was all right. He, it's actually funny because when I'm not shooting and stuff, like me and Gary, like we walk like everywhere. So like every now and then I'm like, cool, like I need to go for a walk. I need to, because I can't always go to actually me and Gary actually started going to the gym together, and then we stopped going to the gym because of like COVID and shit. And then, but we'd go on these like fucking long walks. It's just like me and Gary fucking walking like all around like Cape Town and shit. But yeah, it was just fun. And then, you know, then there was those scenes where, you know, I would shoot something and shame, and then, you know, like Gary would, you know, he would do his like own thing, which wasn't very good. And then I'll be like, at the end of the take, I'll be like, Gary, what the fuck are you doing? And he goes, isn't that cool? And I'll be like, no, don't ever do that. Don't ever do that. And but Shame, like I said, he gave 120% the whole time. It was just funny. And then when it came to the sex scene with the sex worker, I explained to Gary and the actress, you know, this is how we're going to do it. This is how we're going to film it, and this and this and this. And he was like, okay, cool. And the actress was like, cool. So we're busy setting up the shot. And I said to Gary, you know, you're not going to be naked. You know, your pants are going to be down, and we're going to shoot from behind, but we'll give you like a sock to cover your dick and shit. So it'll just be like, you know, from behind. And he's like, okay, cool. So I explained to him. And then while we were setting up the scene, Gary just came on set, and, you know, my DP, Gareth, he says, like, he nudges me and he goes, dude, like, look at Gary. So we're just setting up the scene. We're still doing the lights and stuff. And then Gary comes out and he's completely naked. And he's you know, looking down at his crotch because he's fixing this like fucking sock that we gave him. And I'm thinking, why the fuck is he naked? Like, I just told him he's not going to be naked in the scene. So I go up to him because the whole crew's there. It's not like it's a closed off set. It's like we're still working on everything. So I'll go up to Gary, and I go up to him, and then obviously I can't help like look what he's doing, and I'd be like, Gary, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, oh, I'm just trying to get this thing on. And I'm like, what about your balls? And he goes, the balls are okay. And I'm like, no, we don't want to fucking see your balls. And then I was like, well, why are you naked? Aren't I naked in the scene? And I'm like, no. I was like, I just fucking told you. And he's like, oh shit. So he like picked up all his clothes and like walked back out the room to go put his clothes on. So there was always like funny, you know, there was always like funny things. And then, I mean, there was one shot when Gary's fighting the chainsaw guy, you know, the girl's on the other side, and she's waiting to see who comes through the door. You know, is it going to be the chainsaw guy that won the fight, or is it going to be Barry? So all that Gary had to do, all that Gary had to do was walk out of this walk out the door and turn and look at the girl and smile. And we probably did, not even joking, we probably did like 80 takes just on that coming through. It sounds stupid, but that was the hardest shot of the movie. And it was literally walking through the door and fucking turning. That's all you had to fucking do. And I was just like, it was late at night. And I'm like, okay, Gary, like you come out the door, you hear what's happening with the girl over there. So as you come out the door, you hear and you turn your body. And then you see the girl and you smile. So I'll be like, and action. So Gary would come out and he'll do this. And I'm like, okay, no, like you got to, like you hear, you turn, then you turn your shoulders. Do it again. And we do it again and we do it again. And I'm like, okay, Gary, I'll do it. Watch me, I'll do it. So I do it. And he goes, I'm doing the same thing. And I was like, you're not fucking doing this. I'm like, you got it, like you're coming out the door and you hear. That's why you turn your head. You hear the girl and the kids. So that's why you turn. So as you turn your head, you turn your shoulders and you see the girl and then you smile. And that, we just did like 80 fucking takes. And then I think my crew was going, Ryan, what do you want him to do? I said, I just want him to turn and fucking look. That's it. That's all I want him to do. And he can't like just keep turning like this robot, and fucking hell, it just went on for like forever. But yeah, we got it in the end. But yeah, it was literally like 80. I felt like fucking Stanley Kubrick or something in The Shine and just go, do it again. And it just lasted for forever. But shame, he didn't get annoyed or anything. And that was the cool thing about Gary. He knows he's not an actor and he knows this whole thing is it's going to be a big deal for him. And he gave it his best shot. And and then the whole experience of the movie and everything, it's very much, when I was writing the film, it was very much going on this journey. It was like very much like I said before, like a road trip. And it was going on this journey as Barry or with Barry. And it was the whole thing is this drug trip experience that you're going through, and it still has a beginning, middle, and end, and character arc in the film and all that. But it was, I've always seen this film as as an experience, and I think it's a great film to watch with a group of friends. I think it's a great film to watch when you're stoned or whatever you fucking take it. And I think it's just a great movie to watch with people and experience it. And I think it's because that's the thing. There's horror elements in Barry, and there's a lot of there's sci-fi elements, and there's a shitload of comedy. There's a hell of a lot of dark humor and comedy in the movie, and it's one of those things that this film is definitely not for everybody, but it's one of those where don't take it too fucking serious. The film is what it is. So just like sit back and enjoy it. And the way I wrote it as well was, it was one of those where I really tried to not make the audience know what was coming next. And I tried to make it as random as possible, that the audience doesn't think, oh, this is going to happen or that's going to happen. And I really wanted to make it as spontaneous as possible to keep the audience thinking, what the fuck is going to happen next, and where are we going with this movie, and that was the whole goal. And then on top of that, it was having certain scenes in the movie that people will remember and people will talk about, and it worked that and as I said, this film's not for everybody, but at the same time it's cool because even if you dislike this film and it's not for you, you will still talk about it and you'll still tell people about it. And that's the cool thing. So, I mean, you might have somebody that watches it and go, oh yeah, I just watched this fucking shit film or this weird fucking film and this happened and that happened. And then, the person that they're telling will probably be like, oh, that sounds fucking cool. Like what's the name of this film? So yeah.
Well, something that really gets to me, and it's nothing that you did wrong. It's just like it's an annoying thing that happens in real life that's not exaggerated in your film, and that's Barry's sex life. Like, so let me ask you something. What do you think it is about you?
He always gets the pussy. He gets the pussy all the time, obviously.
Right, but that's the thing. What do you think it is about users and their lifestyles that lead them to always getting laid? Because I know guys that have their shit together and they can't get a date with anyone. And I know a few users, and it's like they're getting ass around every corner. Like, what do you think it is in writing the character that's accurate? His sex life is accurate. So I want to know, what do you think? What do you think?
You're in the wrong crowd, man. You're in the wrong crowd. You're in the wrong crowd. You gotta go on the street, man. You gotta meet the people on the street. I think the thing is, I put that in the movie where a lot of people would say, how the fuck is this guy getting laid? If he looks like that and he's not really talking, how the fuck is he getting laid? And at the same time, for me, I wanted to do that thing where it's almost like this alien has given off this, this thing where, we don't really talk about it, but like, when he goes into the supermarket and everybody just wants to flirt with him, everybody just wants to fuck him. And I just thought it was fucking funny that we would do that he would get up to all this random, all these random situations that just, right place, right time, and would just, that would just happen,
Right. Well, clearly exploitation and grindhouse films were an influence on Friedberry. So, is that fair to say? Grindhouse and exploitation films had an influence?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it all comes back to like all these like 80s and late 70s movies that I would watch, and, to try and make that film of a, we end up getting like cult status for Friedberry, but when I was making it, I looked at all these like cult style films and to get the right tone, of the movie, and in post there would be some things where we edited like the car scene, and it was totally different, and it was fucking funny, and it was really different, but it just didn't suit the tone of the movie, so I had to change it and make it a lot different. So I really wanted to keep that thread throughout the movie and that tone throughout the movie right. And it's like when you look at movies like, there's a lot of references from like Starman, John Carpenter's Starman. And, there was references from Bad Boy Bubby, that 90s Australian movie, where there was all these like little things there that, with these cult films and the tone and, the way it looks and stuff like that. And it's, and that's why I'm saying, like, we don't make these type of films in South Africa at all. So, the story itself is universal and international, but it's just like, it just happened to take place, in South Africa,
It's funny you bring up Starman, because I was talking to Drew and I said, this is almost like a fucked up version of Starman. Yeah. So I'm really glad that you thought, you had that as an inspiration for it.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved that. I've always loved that. I've always loved that movie, and it's always, because that's the thing. It's like, a lot of people, said, Friedberry is so original that we haven't seen that, that alien, that is, that gets trapped in a heroin drug addict's body. We haven't seen that. And when I came up with the idea, I just thought, that's fucking great, because I mean, it just happens to be, they just picked the wrong person at the wrong time. You know what I mean? If they picked up like a 9 to 5 guy, on that day walking back home from the pub or something like that, the movie would be a different movie. So it just happens to be that Paul Barry was walking down the streets, and in that area where he lives, and because he's a drug addict and the friends that he knows, it's just, it just changed, the whole story, and it changed everything that, that would happen, on his journey.
Yeah, and in the movie, you throw in an intermission there. So, what made you throw in like an intermission?
I was all these things. I mean, like even the intro of the movie, we had that certification thing at the beginning. So, in the 80s in England, every time you rented a movie on VHS, there would always be this dude sitting there, this
fucking table going, this film is classified 18. That means anybody below that age can't watch this movie. And it was always a thing. So as friends and family, you would sit there and watch these movies, and you would either fast forward it, or everybody in the room would talk along with it, because it would be like, oh, here we go. You always hear this thing. So I wanted to put that in because it was a big part of my childhood. And obviously I changed up all the dialogue and it made it different. And then again, with the intermission, it was, going to the cinema in the, in the 80s, early 90s, we had those intermissions, which is crazy because we don't get anymore in England or South Africa. I don't know about America, but we don't get that anymore. And the crazy thing is that movies are actually fucking longer now, like by a few hours, and we don't have the intermission. So again, it was coming back to the intro on the VHSs and at the cinema having that intermission. And I use that intermission as a pace thing, that because it's quite fast paced, that this has happened and that's happened, so it's like it calms down a bit. But then we have those commercials, fake commercials in it with Barry in it and stuff like that, and then and just changed up a bit of the tone, and then going straight back into the movie. So I just thought it was something cool and something different, but also very much me growing up in the 80s and early 90s, and and experiencing that thing that I just missed, that we don't see anymore.
And with the intermission, you had the classic popcorn, soda. What's your favorite snack at the cinema?
That's a good one. I don't always eat like popcorn, to be honest. If a friend gets popcorn, then I'll eat popcorn. But yeah, I don't know. I just always in England, we used to always get like hot dogs and shit, and over here we don't really have that in the cinemas. So I don't know. I'll always recently now, you put me in a dark room to watch a film, I always end up trying my best not to fall asleep, and it's just because I'm in a dark room and I'm fucking tired. And I really want to watch the movie, but I'm like struggling to stay awake because I'm just so busy, working and doing all this stuff. So by the time I go there, it's like relaxing time. But at the same time, I'm like, I really want to watch this, but I'm like dozing off. So now it's like a Red Bull before I go into a cinema.
And the chairs are so comfy now in the theaters, and I think that's what adds to it.
Yeah. Dude, you put me in a dark room and it's warm and it's comfy. I'm just like, I'll just fucking fall asleep. Yeah.
Now, at Friedberry in the mental hospital, one of the characters is named Martini. And Martini was a character from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. His character somewhat kind of looks like Danny DeVito. Well, was that an intentional nod?
Yeah, no, absolutely. In Friedberry, there's so many references of 70s and 80s films. There's fucking loads. There's so many. And again, it's all the films that I grew up on, and to have all these references and all these little Easter eggs throughout the movie, it was like any film buffs will pick it up, and other people, won't pick it up. But there's loads. I've lost count. There's tons of them.
And like a lot of walking for Barry, there's a lot of extreme close-ups. What made you want to make those so prominent?
Yeah, well, it's just about being in his space and being in his view. So with the character, at the same time, it's him experiencing the world for the first time as the alien, and it's the people experiencing him at the same time. So and because of the drugs and stuff, everything's like, we shot on like wide lenses and like quite close up to give it that whole effect, throughout the movie. It just makes it more intense. Like going back to the scene in the hospital when the guy pulls the chair and comes and sits next to him. It's like he's in his face, like straight away, and it's that whole thing where he's just, people talking at this alien,
And lastly, I want to ask, what do you want people to take away from seeing Friedberry?
Don't do drugs. It's just one of those films where, like I said, you just got to enjoy it. You got to go into it like open-minded, and it's just a crazy, wacky ride. You know what I mean? It's there's a lot of heart in the movie as well. With his wife and
his girlfriend, his wife, and so yeah, it's just like, you know, just sit back and enjoy it, and don't overthink it. You know what I mean? And I think it always comes down to like personality and sense of humor. You either get it or you don't. You know, you'll either laugh at it or you'll go, "Oh, that's not funny. That's offensive." And I'm like, "That's funny though." But so it's like, it's
we're with you.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, you know, I mean, look, we live in the day and age now where you can't say this, you can't say that, you can't do that, you can't do this. And I think what was cool about Friedberry at the time that it came out is like, I just didn't give a fuck about all that shit. And at the end of the day, it's just a fucking movie. It's just characters. These characters do exist in the world, in every fucking city in the world. So it's just like, you know, don't overthink it. You know, don't overthink it. And it's just a movie. It doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that people are against, there's just the scenes whether if somebody's gay or bisexual or this or that, or is black or white or whatever, like it's so stupid. It's just a movie. It's just a character. And it's a fucking drug addict that gets abducted by aliens. That's the fucking movie. So it's going on this journey. And through his dick hole. So, I mean, and that was a prosthetic dick. I'm pretty sure Gary goes around telling everybody, yeah, that's my fucking dick in that movie. But it was a prosthetic. It was a prosthetic in that movie. So yeah.
And we definitely want to thank you again for joining us today. What upcoming projects are you working on?
There's quite a few. I can't really speak about a lot of them. So I'm just juggling with stuff at the moment, and I don't know what's going to come up first. But I have been working on developing Street Trash, remake of the 1987 Street Trash movie. So I'm going to be shooting that. So at the moment now we're looking into that now, and the script's done, everything's ready to go. So it's just when we're ever going to shoot this movie, but it's still early stages right now.
And where can people keep up with you online?
So you can go on Instagram, a Ryan Kruger thing, or on Facebook, Ryan Kruger, and Twitter, Ryan Kruger thing. And you can just check that, or ryankruger.tv. And you can check out all the latest stuff that I'm doing. And I think the next thing I'm probably going to be releasing is probably going to be those experimental films. I've got that one more that's in post-production, and once that's done, then I'll probably have an exhibition for that, and I'll probably start to release one a month or one a week or something like that.
Oh yeah,
that's awesome. And again, we would just want to thank you for joining us today. Friedberry's awesome. Make sure to check it out on Shudder if you haven't seen it already.
Cool, man. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ryan. We appreciated having you.
So before I start the wrap up here, I said that I didn't want to talk about the abduction in case people wanted to avoid the interview and wait. But I was going to say, could you also call this movie Invasion of the Dickhole Snatchers? That popped to me when we were talking about it. I wanted to bring it up, but I was like, I got to save it until after the interview when that part gets brought up. That shit's still fucked up. They went through his dick hole. Anyway, thanks to all the horror hounds and smokers out there for tuning in. Thanks to Ryan Kruger again for joining us today. Man. And we got another interview for you next week. We got Vincent Grishaw, who directed What Josiah Saw. And what movie. Did Josiah saw? We're going to tell you what he saw next week. So make sure to follow us on social media at High on Horror 420. I mean, I said it back in Puff Puff Ass, so you should have listened to that. Say it again. But it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikToks. And then check out our website, highonhorror.com. You can sign up for our newsletter and get future episodes and announcements emailed directly to your inbox. You can go back and find all of our previous episodes that way. And I think that'll about wrap her up. Oh, no, if you want to send us some questions also, you need to email us, possibly.
Yes, at all those addresses that he just listed, you can also send us Puff Puff Ask questions.
And you can also email us at highonhorror420@gmail.com. Now, I think that'll about wrap her up. Catch you later.
See ya.